Matthew 26, verses 36 to 56. Then Jesus went with his disciples to a place called Gethsemane, and he said to them, "Sit here while I go over there and pray." He took Peter and the 2 sons of Zebedee along with him, and he began to be sorrowful and troubled. Then he said to them, "My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. Stay here and keep watch with me." Going a little further, he fell with his face to the ground and prayed, "My Father, if it is possible, may this cup be taken from me, yet not as I will, but as you will." Then he returned to his disciples and found them sleeping. "Couldn't you men keep watch with me for 1 hour?" he asked Peter. "Watch and pray, so that you will not fall into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak." He went away a second time and prayed, "My Father, if it is not possible for this cup to be taken away unless I drink it, may your will be done." When he came back, he again found them sleeping, because their eyes were heavy. So he left them and went away once more, and prayed the 3rd time, saying the same thing. Then he returned to the disciples and said to them, "Are you still sleeping and resting? Look, the hour has come, and the Son of Man is delivered into the hands of sinners. Rise, let us go. Here comes my betrayer." Whilst he was still speaking, Judas, one of the 12, arrived. With him was a large crowd, armed with swords and clubs, sent from the chief priests and the elders of the people. Now the betrayer had arranged a signal with them. "The one I kiss is the man." Going at once to Jesus, Judas says, "Greetings, Rabbi," and kissed him. Jesus replied, "Do what you came for, friend." Then the men stepped away, seized Jesus and arrested him. With that, one of Jesus' companions reaches for his sword, drew it out and struck the servant of the high priest, cutting off his ear. "Put your sword back in its place," Jesus said to him, "for all who draw the sword will die by the sword. Do you think I cannot call on my Father, and he will at once put at my disposal more than 12 legions of angels? But how then would the scriptures be fulfilled that say it must happen in this way?" In that hour Jesus said to the crowd, "Am I leading a rebellion, that you have come out with swords and clubs to capture me? Every day I sat in the temple courts teaching, and you did not arrest me. But this has all taken place, that the writings of the prophets must be fulfilled." Then all the disciples deserted him and fled. When we think of obedience in the Bible, someone like Noah, who built a boat before the world had even seen rain, or Abraham, who was ready and willing to sacrifice his own son, men who did crazy, outlandish things because God asked them to. When talking about obedience in the Bible, Jesus wouldn't be one of the first people that come to mind. But like everything else Jesus did, he showed the way for us to do it as well. As he is in the garden, not once, but 3 times, he asks God if there is another way, and after receiving his answer, he obediently follows and obeys. Jesus shows us here that it is right for us to approach God when we are worried or concerned. Jesus himself did it when he was full of sorrow. When faced with adversity, as Jesus was, we should approach in the same way that he did, on our knees in prayer. And when God answers prayers, we should react as Jesus did, cast off our sorrows and faithfully obey. He shows obedience to his Father, knowing that for us to be saved, that he had to die on the cross. Jesus was willing to die on the cross for us because of his great love for each of us. There's a great example of this in this passage, where one of his disciples cuts away one of his arrester's ears. It would have been easy for him to do nothing other than to tell him to stop. This was, after all, a man who was there to arrest him, but instead he heals the man's ear. In just these couple of verses, Jesus shows us how to act in sorrow, how to be obedient, and how to love even those who are against us. It's in verses like this that we actually see why we are told to be more like Jesus and what that looks like.